Hi everyone, it's Ren here. How you doing, guys? Hope you're well. I am now back home, as you can see. I had a trip to Paris that was very nice. You might have seen my video shot outside the Louvre in front of the pyramid on the topic of art. I hope you enjoyed that if you saw it. I was in Paris for 6 days, and you know, my point here is not to like tell you the whole story of what I was doing there, but you know, I got to see lots of different museums. I stayed in a very nice part of town because a friend of my granny's is staying at my granny's at the moment in the south, and so she essentially gave me the keys to her apartment. So I just went on my own. I have really, at this stage, among my good friends, I only have like one who's based in Paris, but I actually saw him twice, and he was very happy to see me. I was very happy to see him, and we saw each other twice, and you know, he said that I could always crash at his place also in the future if I ever needed that. So that was nice, and yeah, it was great. At some point I think I felt a bit lonely, you know, when you're completely on your own in a city that is not your own, and you're in an apartment that's not your own. After a while I started feeling a bit, not homesick, but I just was craving for, you know, meeting people, not just people, random people I know, people that I can relate to in a personal manner. But this is not what this video is about. At the end of the video that I made on the topic of Images and Art at the Louvre, I mentioned briefly that I had been going through some romantic pain. I think that's the way I phrased it. And there's, in this regard, you know, there's first of all, there's a few people that have been supportive, and then, you know, that was nice. That was very nice to hear, and some of them encouraged me to not be afraid of opening up and not repressing things. That repressing is bad, yeah, and then, you know, I have been doing like this heart-to-heart conversation about emotional expression with a user called Amanda, who's an INFJ on YouTube as well, and emotional expression is something that I want to do more, and so I figured actually maybe it would be good if I made a video that's a bit more about myself and about maybe, you know, stuff that's been happening. And I don't know if I have the strength or will to, you know, make this into like a video about INFJs and feelings, or INFJs and grief or pain. I don't know if I can thematize it that way, just because it is personal, but I'm sure that there are probably some insights or some ways in which INFJs and other people, feelers especially, but I think maybe potentially thinkers, you know, will relate, hopefully. But this is also probably an opportunity for you to just get more of a sense of who I am as a human being, and you know, stuff I go through. So it's true that you know, I for the last 2.5 weeks I've been a bit less active on YouTube, and essentially this is due to something that happened that has been quite hard, which is that my girlfriend at the time, who has been active on this channel and who has been commenting on it, but you know, I never really talked much about this relationship, even though I made one video about it. But we did meet on an INFJ forum, and she was supposed to fly over to me on the 18th of June. So yeah, 2.5 weeks ago at this point. And you know, in fact, this was supposed to be the first time we met in person after dating online for many months, and being very attached. At least I was. I don't know if in the end it was reciprocated, but it certainly was, you know, said to be reciprocated very emphatically and with many proofs of that in many ways. But it so happens that on the day that she was supposed to fly over, and I was really looking forward to it, maybe as one of the best days of my life, she cancelled. She didn't actually go to the airport, and she called me and crying and being, you know, invoking mental health issues, which she does have mental health issues. I don't want to downplay that. She's someone who has mental health issues. Now, we all do to some extent. She certainly does. And she says she couldn't make it, and all day I tried to convince her to make it and encourage her, but that just wouldn't happen. And I said I needed some time to stomach what happened, and that, you know, I was extremely disappointed and disillusioned about this. And yeah, she said she understood it, and ever since then she has completely disappeared. She has not been on the forum where we exchange and where we met and where we exchanged a lot in text, like, you know, in writing. She has not been on Discord where we exchanged in instant messaging and you know, where we video chatted. We did lots of video chatting. Ever since then, I mean, like, I have learned that I might have been naive. I think I'm someone who tends to be, maybe not naive is the right word, but very trusting from the moment that I love someone. And so there were probably some things that were kind of gray areas, that if I had looked more into the matter, maybe those would have been red flags or kind of alarms, such as the fact that you know, I barely ever had her email and her number. I never had her number. She always had reasons, you know, my phone doesn't work with WhatsApp, it's too old. And then when she got a new phone, she forgot to pick it up. Yeah, I mean, again, at the time, I just didn't really necessarily look into it. But in hindsight, that's probably quite a strange thing. And eventually I managed to locate her email. But the thing is, I didn't want to, you know, get in touch because I had been the wronged party. And well, the thing is, like, there's been absolutely no news, and the forum where, you know, she would be a kind of well-known person, she has not even logged in. Like, not saying being inactive on the forum, but not even logged in once. It's like this person has disappeared. In fact, she has disappeared from the comment section on my YouTube channel as well, because she used to comment often. Apparently all the comments are gone. So it's almost like this person never existed, which is very strange, and it was hard to make sense of and kind of shocking at first. And you know, there's other parts that are kind of turning out to be about whether potentially she even told me about her real name, whether she told me about her real job. There are clear indications that she doesn't quite have the qualifications that she said she has. And I feel like, you know, maybe maybe I thought I was dealing with a person who is not the person I thought I was dealing with. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard because on the one hand, of course, there's the grief of having had feelings for someone who were genuine, which were genuine and strong, and plans. Because I had been, you know, I'd been hitting a bit of a lull in my professional career in Geneva. I was kind of sick of it, and I've been on the sabbatical, and I had kind of plans to move to the United States to look for employment there where she was, and kind of open a new chapter of my life there. So it's more than just the situation. It's like what my life project was supposed to be, and me kind of regaining a sense of like having steam to start something new. And this doesn't seem very well. It's just no longer relevant now. I must say, in some ways, I've had breakups that have been harder, and I think the reason why they were harder is because they were, so to speak, real. You know, with shared physical experiences. And when I say physical, I just don't mean sensual. I mean like literally being in each other's presence. Whereas in this case, it's almost like something that was very beautiful, I thought, and very profound and loving, but virtual, about to become, real, and that's what kind of gave meaning to it too. And it's just that's not happening, and it just looks like this person is, she's not got in touch with me to know how I'm doing, or to at least provide maybe a little bit of a more elaborate apology, rather than saying, oh, I have mental health issues, I don't know who I am right now, I'm the worst I've ever been. I'm like, sure, but on the day that you're supposed to visit, I had booked flights to Spain at the end of June. Instead, I postponed them because I didn't have the heart to go on my own. I had a friend there, but I postponed it to the end of August. And I'd arranged things. My parents had organized things about the houses as well, so that we can have our own house. So there's a lot of people who were upset. My granny was upset. A lot of people were upset, of course, including myself. Not to mention that, I don't know if you remember, I was in Ireland not many months ago, and I was happy there. And the reason why I came back was because she was going to be here, and that was supposed to be at the end of May, and she delayed for a month, and I was just here waiting, and then that happened. So yeah, it's a lot to take in. I feel like I'm better now, so don't worry, guys. The reason why I'm able to talk about it even on camera is really because I no longer think about her a lot. Like, I do have still flashes, but I think that now, like, I'm in this phase where I'm sort of like trying to readjust. It's not so much missing that person individually as much as it is having to readjust my days, because a lot of my days had been organized around being in contact with her, really like being in a relationship. If she had been over, we'd have spent a lot of time together. So in a way, when you're in that situation, you don't have to worry too much about what you're going to be doing with your day, because a lot of your time is taken up in the relationship. And so what time is free, you know what to do, because there's a certain amount of time and you spend time on that. And the thing is, now, like, I still have my routine, but there's these few hours in the day, 2-3 hours, where I used to not worry about them. I used to not worry about them or think about those hours, just because those were the hours during which I was talking to her. And now these hours are still there, but they're they don't involve talking to her. So I need to occupy myself even further, and in this case, being unemployed and perhaps still a bit lethargic in terms of my motivation to return to the office world, or to a 9-to-5 or salaried work or whatever, like, this is just not a context where things are made easier, because I'm always waking up being the one, up to me whether I'm busy or not, so I wake up, I continue with my routine of writing or reading a lot, usually around 5 or 6, then it's kind of like, okay, I'm done, and sometimes that can be a bit hard in that regard. But I think Paris was a very good trip, because I was kind of hoping, it was a bit of a reconnaissance for me also, to try to figure out whether it could be a place where I could move in the future, but also just changing scene, just going to a different place, being kind of exploring the place, imbibing French history, great art, grandeur, these things just help me to, I think, see things more in perspective and have more distance on things, and be able to kind of, see into the future again, which is already kind of happening. It's taken some time. It's taken its time, and I think it's normal that it's taken its time. But I have to say, like, this really asked me the question, and maybe I can finish with that, because this is something that perhaps INFJs will relate to. But it is certainly the case, if I'm honest with myself, that the last 2 relationships I've been in, by the way, they have been both with INFJs, I just seem to be attracted to people who are, I don't know how to say it, I don't want to say broken, because that's too harsh, but mentally unstable, or mentally hurt, mentally they have issues. It's almost like I enjoy this. I don't know if it's, you know, as simple as a nurse syndrome thing, or if it's something else. It has to do with me and my insecurities as well. But it's almost like I'm attracted and I seek people who are, to some extent, of course, there's many charms that they have that attract me and explain why there is chemistry. But there is this pattern where they seem to have some mental instability that's quite pronounced, and leads, in my previous relationship, to a lot of toxic and conflictual interactions, protracted, prolonged, and unhealthy. And in the case of this one, just someone who proves to be extremely unreliable, to the extent that it's almost like, you know, I lived a lie or something, which is, you know, given how many months it had been and the plant I'd made, is always hard. But there is this trend, even when I think that I am aware of this tendency of mine to sort of almost like look for people who are not healthy. Even when I think that I am sort of like aware of it and that I'm going to avoid it, and when the person seems healthy to me, even though they're open about the fact they're mentally troubled, I still go to them. And perhaps in the grand scheme of things, this is something also for me to reflect on. Why are people who are basically either like sane or just normal, why am I not as much drawn to them? What does it say about me? What does it say about me as an INFJ? Is that a trait that some INFJs have? I think so, but maybe you guys have experiences that you can share, or some insights. And yeah, something for the future, you know, like it'd be great to just actually date someone who, I mean, I rarely like people, I have to say. I don't often like someone enough to want to date them for lots of different reasons. But it'd be cool if I do realize I like someone and that person likes me back. It'd be cool just to date someone who has enough mental stability to be reliable. Because in this mental instability, there is, despite themselves, some egotism, you know, taking how they feel into account much more than how the other persons feel, because they're wrapped up in their problems. Anyway, so that's the context of the last few weeks. Again, I'm doing much better now, so don't worry about me. I'm happy to see you guys again, and I'm going to be making videos more regularly again, at least every 2 days, I'm hoping, because I think that's a good rhythm. And in the meantime, I hope you are doing well, and I'll catch you very soon. See you soon, guys. Ciao.